Hey everybody, it's me, Dawg Knight, Marty, whatever you want to call me. Welcome to the show. If you're new here, and you're watching on a replay, you can fast forward to about 10 minutes to the beginning of the show. We talk about news and current events on this show. And today it's my birthday. So all the proceeds from super chats, donations, whatever, is going to go towards the Wounded Warriors Project. If you'd like to donate separately, you can check the chat. There'll be a link if you want to donate directly to them, or if you want to do it through here, that's great. Everything, all the net proceeds from today's show will be going to the Wounded Warriors Project. So sit back. We'll be back in 10 minutes. Just let things warm up, and then the show will start. Here comes the countdown. Stand by. The program will begin soon. There's an example yesterday I saw of this woman who's been here. I mean, we might even play this clip. She was here. She's been here 20 years. She has 3 kids who were born here. Her kids are because of birthright citizenship, which is another subject that's coming up. And she never bothered to even try to resolve her immigration status. Not in 20 years. She has never tried to resolve her immigration status. Not through Republican presidents, not through Democratic presidents, nothing. And so now, she's worried about being deported because they put out the sob story of this woman. Well, that's not the average person they're even looking at right now. The average person they're looking at crossed in the last 3 years are... CNN is cutting jobs to embrace the digital future. No, they're cutting jobs because, as I like to say, they suck. CNN is undergoing a significant restructuring, planning to lay off about 200 employees, which constitutes approximately 6% of its workforce. This move is part of a broader strategy under CEO Mark Thompson to pivot towards a digital-first approach, focusing on expanding digital subscriptions and reducing costs from traditional TV operations. Wait a minute! Didn't they already try the CNN subscription service, which failed miserably? Which, if you truly have compassion for trans kids, you would allow them to all go through puberty, because 90% of kids who think they're trans change their mind once they go through puberty. That puberty is the fix for most of the problems. But you guys want the medicalization of kids and sterilization of kids and medical and surgical altering of kids who can't make that decision at 12 years old or 13 years old. Diablo asks, why is it when I try to show empathy and concern, people always misconstrue it? Last time I asked someone if their mom at least got a good check from the clinic that botched the abortion. Oh! Oh, God. Damn it, AD. I think you just need to find a gentle. Stand by. The program will begin soon. I would be willing to bet everything I own that submitting a 22-minute video montage that shows the most egregious acts of violence you can find from that day, when the defendant in question is on that video for only 6 seconds and the scene walking calmly, is highly prejudicial and a violation of the defendant's due process rights. The person was found guilty and sentenced to 19 months in prison. Now, it took 2 hours to read through all of the documents that were in the case file. Every motion submitted by the defendant was denied. Every motion by the defendant was denied. How often does that happen? And every motion submitted by the government was granted. They turned a trespass misdemeanor that would have resulted in a $50 ticket into 5 misdemeanors and a felony charge by charging the defendant with a statute that would have required the Secret Service to rope off the section he was in, which they did not. They also charged him with a statute that would have required them to prove Mike Pence was in the building at the time he walked through that corridor. He was not. And they used an Enron statute that the Supreme Court struck down. If you accept a pardon, you are admitting guilt. Period. That's the because you can't be pardoned if you're not guilty.
Whether he can whether he can issue. The president's reportedly asking his staff whether he can issue preemptive pardons for himself, his family members, Rudy Giuliani. There's a simple answer: no. No, Mr.
Oh,
that
you
would
can't?
Be a gross abuse
of
the presidential
It's a
pardon
gross
authority.
abuse of presidential pardon authority. Well, there you go. You accepted a pardon, Adam Kinzinger. You think you may have committed a crime. Oh, here, Jamie Raskin. Dirty Q-tip. Dirty Q-tip, Jamie Raskin. What else? What did he have to say?
Well, the seeking of pardons is
it's only on one side.
Demonstration of the consciousness of guilt. Or at least the consciousness that you may be in trouble.
Jamie Raskin.
So shocking.
Did he get a pardon also? Wasn't he on that committee?
The seeking of pardons is.
He was on that committee. I'm curious if you're going to condemn that part. You're going to condemn that pardon.
Joe Biden pardoned a lot of people. Yeah, he should answer for that and explain.
Lots of murderers, lots of drug dealers, lots of people who killed people. Commuted the sentence of a couple murderers. One drug dealer who people died from taking the drugs that they sold them.
Stand by. The program will begin soon.
The Obama-Aniston rumors have gone wild. Rumors have emerged on social media that suggest Barack and Michelle Obama might be heading towards divorce, with speculators linking Barack Obama to actress Jennifer Aniston. Those rumors have gained traction following Michelle Obama's absence from Jimmy Carter's funeral and the inauguration, and are based on tabloid stories and social media speculation without solid confirmation from the individuals involved. So far, they're still rumors, and I don't know why people are perpetuating them, but it is kind of fun to perpetuate rumors like that. No one's come out to, out and out deny anything. That's the weird part.
We should just take a deep breath and acknowledge the audacity.
The audacity!
Of a president who's so clearly concerned about his own criminal culpability.
Oh my God, his own criminal culpability and his son's business dealings. I know that they're talking about Joe Biden, aren't they?
And that of his family members.
Like the boy asked, are cats really soul suckers? Yes. Yes. That's why I'm not into cats. Dogs, man. I'm a dog guy. Avocado Diablo, is there an aisle in the grocery store that is less objectionable to have sex in? Where do you come up with this shit? Dude.
Has done something no person in the world has ever done before. A dead man, a dead politician has risen.
Yes.
Somebody who 4 years ago at Davos, he's buried, a dead.
And I wonder how many people at Davos have been funding Donald Trump's demise that has failed. I wonder how many people at Davos, again, let me say it again. I wonder how many people at Davos have been funding what they had hoped would be Trump's demise. I bet you there's a few of them there. And Didn't work, did it now? Didn't work now, did it?
Politically known to me. He's now returned. This is the greatest comeback in political history of a politician. And then, therefore, he thinks he can do anything.
At the end of the show, every day on my show, if I put something on the screen or I'm talking about it, or it's a topic or an article that I'm presenting in this show, I provide links to every single thing that I've talked about, and even more, the ones I didn't even get to. I drop them in the chat at the end of the show, and also I drop them in the description. So if you want to find these articles, they will be in the links at the end of the show.
Ladies and gentlemen, coming to you live from the Lucky Dog studio in a hidden location somewhere in the upper Midwest of the United States of America, it's a brother making his own way but with all the wrong opinions. Welcome to the Morning Night Live with your host, the one and only Dawg Knight.
Yeah. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Good morning. I'm Marty, also known as Dawg Knight on the internet. Welcome back to the Dawg Knight Channel, or welcome to the Dawg Knight Channel if it's your first time here. It's my birthday today, and I was like, what am I going to do for my birthday? I'm going to do something special. What the hell? And I was thinking about it, and I'm like, well, maybe we can donate everything that we get in the conference today to somewhere important. And I think the Wounded Warriors Project is important, and so that's the cause of the day. And there will be a link to the Wounded Warriors Project. You can donate directly to them. You can donate through a Facebook link that'll show up in the chat, or you can just, if you do anything you do in Super Chats today, Super Chats, Streamlabs, whatever, today, I will donate the net proceeds to the Wounded Warriors Project. And it's just, if you're not familiar with it, let's just start with, I'm going to just begin with this. Every warrior has a next mission. We know that the transition to civilian life is a journey, and for every warrior, family member, and caregiver, that journey looks a little different. The Wounded Warrior Project began in 2003 as a small grassroots effort providing simple care and comfort items to the hospital bedsides of the first wounded service members returning home from the conflict in Iraq and Afghanistan. As their post-service needs evolved, we so have our programs and services today through our direct programs in mental health, career counseling, and long-term rehabilitation care. Along with our advocacy efforts, we improve the lives of millions of warriors and their families. This effort requires the passion and commitment of friends, supporters, and like-minded organizations that enable us to fulfill our mission. With their collaboration and support, we strive to ensure that when those who serve care come home, they're afforded every opportunity to be successful as a civilian as they were in the military. At the Wounded Warriors Project, we believe engaging in diverse perspectives is essential to providing veterans the care, resources, and support they need to thrive. WWP is committed to fostering an inclusive culture within our organization and in our programs by providing resources and support to all post-9/11 veterans who have served. We strive to create a future where every warrior has the opportunity to live a fulfilling and empowered life. So that's what we're doing today. And this is going to be one of those rare days where I'm going to say, hey, I'd like to see you donate today. And if you don't donate directly or through here, I don't care. Somewhere, I'd like you to, there's some buzzwords in there, but it doesn't matter. I've know people involved with the Wounded Warriors Project. They're a great organization. They help especially veterans who have been wounded and have disabilities and who, have come back and made that sacrifice for our country. So I encourage you to donate either there, or if you want to donate to me, anything you give to me is going to the Wounded Warriors Project today. So that's the cause, and the goal for this show is $200. And I know that'd be a miracle because we've never even come close to that. But this one day that I'm going to ask you to try to hit that goal. And all the net proceeds, the one reason to not do it through here, to be frank, is if you direct directly to them, YouTube or the transaction doesn't take its cut out of there first. So I know it's the $200 goal is kind of a pipe dream on this show, but what the hell? Let's go big. Let's go big. So there you go. Good charity. Just wish they didn't put those buzzwords in there. Yeah, I know they did. But I think they're playing the game, but regardless, they are a good charity. So that's what we're doing today. Anyway, welcome to the show. If you happen to stop in here and you're new, you may or may not like me. I don't care. Sometimes people who don't like me make the best guest on the show. But regardless, I've been doing this for about 6 years, just over 1,500 episodes. And it's just been a fun project for me. I talk about the news, things that are happening in the world. I do it from a conservative perspective and as a black man, but I don't emphasize that a whole lot because it doesn't really matter. I just have my opinions that I've formed over many years in the political realm, in the social realm, and in just the realm of life as a father who's raised 2 very successful kids, and as a grandfather now that I have 2 my daughter's had 2 young children. So if you like me, great. If you don't like me, great. Hang around and see what I say, and you can either argue with me or you can nod your head yeah, or you can sound off in the chat. There you go. So whatever. But welcome to the show. It is the, I don't know, what episode is this? 1509th episode on April 4th, 2025, which just happens to be my 61st birthday. And so thanks for the people wishing me well. I appreciate you, and I appreciate everyone who drops into the show. So if you haven't shared the show, hit the little arrow in the bottom and share the stream somewhere. Whether it's before, during, or after the show, someone's likely to see it. Now, let's get into the people who are here, because I always like to say hi to the early birds. First in chat today is JB. We're super early today. Congratulations, you get the bell. Also, good morning, Reaction Puerto Rico. Now, somebody, hang on a sec, because there's a gap in here. Oh, that's me. Okay, Reaction Puerto Rico is in here also. Also, good morning, Tyler F. Avocados Diabli, what's up? Almost forgot your music. Also, good morning to Mike Savage, Blarg. And also, by the way, everyone say happy birthday to Mike Savage. I remembered that this morning that I'm like, oh, wait a minute. There's someone that's at my show who I share a birthday with. And it's my Irish brother from another mother, us both having ties to Ireland. Mike, everyone wish Mike Savage a birthday or happy birthday. So there you go. Also, good morning to Kara Soldier, Resolute Germ, Plague Trucker Zach, what's up? Good morning, welcome back. Somnambul Nation, I said JB because you were here first. Number 1 is here. Good morning, Midnight in Exile, hello. Amazing Disgrace is in the house. What up? GDSOB, welcome. Johnny Boobertex, finally on the job. It took you long enough. Good morning. Mrs. Hayes is in my chat. Shrapnel's in the house, and that looks like. Wait, Shrapnel, is it your birthday too? What? Oh, it's Shrapnel's birthday too. Man. Let's see. April, man, that's 4 months. August must be a hell of a month for, because all our parents were like during that time. Hello, Desert Tramp. That's a new name I haven't seen. Welcome to the show. So anyway, happy birthday to our friend Shrapnel and Mike Savage also. So thanks for everyone here. A lot of fucking during the dog days of summer. Yes, exactly. Evan S., good morning. Let's get into the show. As you know, we spend a lot of time talking about the news here, and but let me and what's trending. But first of all, I must tell you what the celebration day is. Now, this one, let me check something real quick. I didn't see if that's on the list here. So, for example, today is World Rat Day, and I thought, World Rat, who would have a World Rat Day? That's weird. And it's like, celebrate these furry creatures and fun facts. Cute. No, I don't want to hear about rats. It's National Vitamin C Day. It's International Carrot Day. Maybe we don't need to talk about that. It's also National Hug a News Person Day. Oh, hell no. But here's the biggest day that's being celebrated on X, the app formerly known as Twitter, is National School Librarian Day. Oh, Monkey say you. Fantastic. Thank you. That's good to know. National School Librarian Day. Wow. National School Librarian Day, everybody. Now go read a book. There's a book called I Want to Be a Librarian. I just, I wonder how many school librarians, I shouldn't say that. Never mind. Anyway, so lots of people out here celebrating their school librarians. Go figure. Yeah. And that's all I have to say about that. I'm sorry. I was going to make some jokes about, No, I'm not. Never mind. Here's the thing. When I was in elementary school, the school librarian was a fairly young lady, and I was a little too young to actually care. But she was quite attractive. I mean, you look back and you go, yeah, the librarian was hot. We didn't have like one of those old librarians with the, horn rimmed glasses. We had a young gal that was, had I been past puberty, I'd have been like, oh, hubba hubba. But, she was very attractive. I don't know why I remember that, but she was. Anyway, good morning, Rod Line. Wait. Oh, celebrity birthdays, Robert Downey Jr. and Jill Scott. Thank you, Somnambule Nation. Yeah, I didn't do a celebrity birthday today. I don't know why. There's a lot of stuff going on. So anyway, let's get into some news right away because I want to get some news out of the way and make sure I get to Friday Q&A. Every Friday, if you're new here, we do a Q&A at the end of the show. And let me just tell you, Friday Q&A around here is a fascinating phenomenon. The questions can be serious, the questions can be silly, the questions can be, I don't know, just crazy, and they are. So there you go. There we go. First super chat of the day from, thank you. Appreciate that. Thank you, Amazing Disgrace. Drop it whatever's on the 20, a double Hamilton on the thing. Birthday lap dance fun. Nope, I'm telling you, every time that we bring in today, let's go into the Wounded Warriors Project. So there you go. Thank you very much for sponsoring the show. But that is, I don't do lap dances. Look, I've been married for 32 years. My wife said, hey, you want to go out for dinner tomorrow night? She asked me this yesterday. Want to go out for dinner tomorrow night? We'll go out for dinner for your birthday because we're having family over Saturday for my birthday, right? But he's like, well, she's like, oh, let me take you out for birthday dinner. And wherever you want to go. And what's funny, some people hear that and they go, oh yeah, let's go to a steakhouse. Let's go to a really nice restaurant, whatever. We're going to go to a little roadside bar in a town called Maysville, Minnesota, called the King's Bar and Grill. And it's a little town of probably about 800 people. It has this little bar there, King's Place or something like that. And they have the greatest burgers anywhere in Minnesota. It sounds weird, like, oh, you're going to go to, it's about 30 miles from here. And I said, let's go to Maysville, go to King's, because I love the burgers there. And so that's where my birthday dinner is going to be. But anyway, so far we have $20 total in the funds today. The goal is $200 for Wounded Warriors Project. So if anyone else can donate, that'd be great. Let's go. Anyway, so let's get into some news. Now, apparently the Treasury building was evacuated yesterday. A suspicious package found near the White House. Which I'm kind of confused. Why was the Treasury building evacuated if the suspicious package was found near the White House? The United States Treasury building and Hotel Washington were evacuated on Thursday morning following reports of a suspicious package near the White House. News Nation White House correspondent Libby Dean said on X that the United States Secret Service responded to the reports and now say the scene is safe. The U.S. Secret Service responded to reports of a suspicious package outside the White House today near 15th and Pennsylvania Avenue Northwest around 9:45 this morning. The scene is now safe, but parts of the Treasury building and the Hotel Washington were evacuated. According to DC News Now, the Metropolitan Police Department's explosive ordnance disposal team was also called into the scene before the department determined the area was safe. And it sparked some road closures around the area, so that's wild. And that was late yesterday, so didn't know about that. Also, let's see what else is in the news. In Breitbart, apparently yesterday we were talking about how Nike moved their operations to Vietnam, and then the tariffs are supposed to go hit Vietnam harder than they hit China. Well, Nike stock plunges as low-wage factories in China, Vietnam, and Indonesia face Trump's tariffs. Their stock was plunging on Thursday, a day after Donald Trump announced reciprocal tariffs that will end the nation's decade-long free trade policy. Nike was seen 11.3% lower at $57.62 as investors digest the long-term impact of rising supply chain cost on the company's margins. Now, this is interesting because like those shoes you buy from Nike that you buy for like $120, they're produced for about $10 a pair in Vietnam. And even with the tariffs, it would go up to about $15 a pair to produce them. But they sell them at, anywhere between $60 and $200, depending on what type of Nike shoe you buy. And so it's going to be interesting to see if there's going to be a huge price increase on shoes, because they still want to make shoes and still want to sell shoes. And if you get, the price point gets too high, people are not going to buy them anyway. But Reuters reported that shares of Nike, Adidas, and Puma dropped sharply after Vietnam was targeted with a 46% tariff rate. Cambodia and with 49%, Bangladesh with 37%, Indonesia with 32%, while Trump hiked tariffs in China an extra 34 percentage points following earlier 20% tariffs. And plus, by the way, there's a lot of articles today about tariffs, so we'll get into this more. But reciprocal tariffs are particularly bad news for massive low-wage outsourcers like Nike, which operates 117 factories in China with nearly 108,000 Chinese workers and 130 factories in Vietnam with almost 460,000 Vietnamese workers. So their stock went down. Now, here's one of those. Now, you're going to see a whole bunch of things like this morning showing stocks dropping. You see how see this chart they use here? See this bullshit chart they're showing you? Here, let's put it on the screen full. You're going to see a lot of charts like this where they're showing that the stock's way up here and then it goes down to almost nothing. But this is one of those deceptions with graphs things that piss me off to no end. Notice the start of the graph is at just above 60 and the top of the graph is at 65. So you're going to see a lot of charts with a lot of red on them that are going to show, oh my gosh, they're dropped down to almost nothing. No, they don't start the graph at zero. And they do that for a reason, to exaggerate the impact, to make it worse. Now, when stocks rise, they sometimes do the same thing, but they always do it when they fall because, especially when there's a Republican president, they're going to make it look as bad as possible. But certainly the stock markets are lowering. We'll talk about that a little more later. But so there you go. That's what happened here. There we go. Go back to Nike. Oh, I see. Anyway, they're showing the stocks right now down 13%. This makes it look like they're down almost 100% though. Anyway, Nike operates 24 factories in Cambodia with more than 57,000 Cambodian workers, 24 factories in Thailand with nearly 21,000 Thai workers, and 45 factories in Indonesia with close to 300,000 Indonesian workers. So In China, the average yearly salary is $10,000. In Vietnam, the average salary is about $7,200. Indonesia, again, average salary less than $9,500. Average salary in Cambodia, about $10,000. So it's, is this going to cause Nike to bring factories back to the U.S.? I doubt it, because they're still going to be producing shoes at a very low cost there. But it's an interesting thought. All right, next, in the Daily Wire, GM is going to increase truck production in the United States as Trump's auto tariffs go into effect. General Motors is planning to ramp its production of light-duty trucks in the United States after President Donald Trump imposed a 25% tariff on auto imports. According to Reuters, a message sent to employees, GM said it will increase the truck production at its assembly plant in Fort Wayne, Indiana. The auto company based in Detroit said in a statement that it will be making operational adjustments at Fort Wayne, including hiring temporary employees to support current manufacturing business needs. So some jobs, where they can, particularly in the auto industry, will be shifted here to avoid tariffs. Is that a good thing? Well, in the long run, I guess we'll find out. Now, look, as you know, if you've been around here a while, I've been skeptical on the whole tariff thing. I've been kind of a wait and see what happens. There's a lot of people talking about it. We'll get to it. We'll find out soon enough. And I got a bunch of articles open about that. So we'll come back to that topic in a bit. Also, Breitbart, the Trump effect continues. March border apprehensions fall to historic low levels, down 95% from last year. Holy moly. Trump officials state that operational control of the U.S.-Mexico border is becoming a reality. The statements follow another month of declining apprehensions of illegal border crossers entering the U.S. from Mexico. The apprehensions fell by more than 1,100 from February's historic low. U.S. Customs and Border Protection officials reported that border encounters along the U.S.-Mexico border fell from 8,327 in February to 7,180 in March. This represents a decrease of nearly 13% from the previous month's record-setting low. The month of March recorded the lowest southwest border crossings in history, marking a pivotal achievement in our nation's border and security efforts, CBP officials reported this week. So that's good news. I mean, we want legal immigration, but we don't want illegal immigration. And and they're making it easier for people to self-deport and come in the right way. So we'll see how that all works out. But that is some good news and something that I voted for. A lot of people screaming all over the internet, is this what you voted for? I'm like, yeah, kind of. Yeah. Am I disappointed at who I voted for? No, I'm not. Legal insurrection. This is interesting. A Boston district attorney has been threatened with felony charges after finding ICE agent in contempt. U.S. Attorney of Massachusetts, Leah Foley, told Suffolk County District Attorney Kevin Hayden and a Boston judge to knock it off after threatening to hold an ICE agent in contempt because he arrested an illegal alien during his criminal trial. What? Wait a minute. He tried to arrest him during the trial? The ICE agent and troopers did not walk into the courtroom and grab the illegal alien. They arrested him outside of the courthouse. Okay. Here's what Foley wrote in a letter to Hayden. In light of the removal to federal court, please be advised that your office lacks any authority whatsoever to proceed in the state court with respect to United States Immigration and Customs Enforcement Officer Brian Sullivan's March 27, 2025 lawful arrest of Juan Carlos Baez, a.k.a. Wilson Martel LeBron. Wait a minute. How does he have wait a minute. His name is Juan Carlos Baez, a.k.a. Wilson Martel LeBron. What did he do? Did he just threw some names together and decided to put LeBron as his last name? Your office must cease from entertaining or pursuing any charges against Officer Sullivan or any other federal official relating to the arrest of Baez. As you know, Baez was in this country illegally, had prior arrests for serious drug trafficking offenses, and was arrested pursuant to a valid warrant. Your press conference today. Excuse me. In your press conference today, hang on a second. by the way, Big Daddy is the cup today. In your press conference today, you indicated that your office is considering whether to seek criminal contempt charges against federal officers for arresting Baez. That is, for doing their job. The fact that you disfavor ICE officers doing their jobs is not a basis for criminal charges. In fact, there is no legal basis for such charges. You may very well disagree with the enforcement of our federal immigration laws, but it is inappropriate to suggest that to the public, federal officers can be, it is inappropriate to suggest to the public that federal officers can be criminally prosecuted by your office or any other state or local prosecutor's office for performing their official duties. And in bold letters, any attempt or threat to interfere with the lawful actions of federal government agents will not be tolerated. Indeed, under Title 18, United States Code, Section 111A, it is a felony offense to assault, resist, oppose, impede, intimidate, or interfere with an immigration officer's efforts to duly execute the immigration laws of the United States. So, they're telling these peoples, you're committing a federal offense if you fuck with us. So fascinating. There's more in the article, but holy moly, that's something else. And then, and let's see, in the final in the articles, then we'll get into some more trending topics. Apparently, far-left demonstration forces White House to reschedule Saturday's spring garden tour. What happened? The Trump White House is rescheduling the spring garden tours for Saturday, April 5th, in response to a planned far-left protest against President Donald Trump. The Trump White House, let's see, who's involved? The Trump White House, the Office of the First Lady, Planned Parenthood and Human Rights Campaign, the Indivisible Movement, who's been paying protesters to protest around the country, and dozens of other Democrat-aligned far-left advocacy groups. Where and when? The White House, key quote, "This decision has been made out of an abundance of caution and to ensure the safety of all within proximity to public demonstrations planned near the White House on Saturday, April 5th, 2025, the White House said, advising that the Saturday tours will be rescheduled to Sunday. So anyway, the Trump White House announced that they're rescheduling spring garden tours for April 5th out of an abundance of caution in anticipation of planned far-left demonstrations against President Trump's America First policy agenda. And then it shows the same group. It mentions the same group. So they're having a big protest, and so for the safety of people who want to do the garden tour, they've decided to move it back one day. That's fascinating news. All right, back to some of the trending topics. Oh, one other thing. So yesterday, I told you about this this young man who was killed, his twin brother Austin Metcalf. Or the brother who died in his arms of his twin brother, Austin Metcalf. There has been a slight update. And like I said, I don't like whenever these incidents happen, we start getting into some black versus white shit. And I don't like getting into these because on the internet, it turns into this black versus white thing. And assumptions get made and all kinds of things happen. So now we've learned, and I don't look. I'm just giving you a factoid here. The brother of the kid who died, the twin brother, made a statement on to I think the news because there's a question of who started this altercation, whatever, and who was doing whatever. So listen to the brother here. And it doesn't justify anything that happened, but it changes the perspective a little bit, but not enough to justify what happened. Here's what the brother said happened.
There was this kid, before I knew his name now, this kid was sitting under our tent at track. We asked him to move. He started getting aggressive and talking reckless. And my brother stepped in and said, "You need to move." He's like, "Make me move." Austin grabbed his backpack. The kid, I tried to whip around as fast as I could, but I didn't see the stab. But then I look at my brother, and then I'm not going to talk about the rest. So just that's just what I saw, and I mean, I try to help him, but
it was just senseless.
It was really senseless. Really, I don't know why a person would do that to someone just over that little argument. It's just crazy in this world nowadays how people just up and do that. Like that man has a family. That man has people that care about them all the time, and he did everything for our family too. He was a strong man. He was a strong kid.
So when this was originally presented, now, by the way, it in no way justifies someone getting stabbed. And it's awful. When it was originally presented yesterday, it had something to do with the kid who with the knife started an altercation. And I don't know if that it matters, but it's turning into, on the internet, it's pissing me off because it's turning into this huge black-white thing versus, this was kind of dumb. First of all, let's see, someone says, I'm gathering additional information from the family. In the meantime, I continue to be in touch with GoFundMe, and the funds will remain on hold if any, what? The funds will remain on hold. If anyone would like to request a refund in the meantime, GoFundMe will honor it. We'll provide an update after more details figure out. I still hope to help the family out, but I want to make sure it's for a good cause. I do know Chris was at an interview on that date and that they have been homeless since November. I don't know what this even means. Who is this GoFundMe for? I have no idea who that's for. But in any case, not every, oh shoot, what I do. That changes it a little bit, but the idea that someone's going to stab you in the chest with a knife over an argument over where you're sitting, it's very fucked up still. So that's pretty much that's my 2 cents right now. But it changes the story slightly, and the reports have been going fast and furious as whether or not there was a fight, if it was anything going on. I guess we'll just have to see other witness accounts because that's all we have so far. So it looks like the brother didn't necessarily see the whole thing, but they told the kid he couldn't sit there because he was under their school's tent, probably in the wrong place, wrong whatever. So. Real quick, I also got to remember to do this. Thank you for the people who've been tweeting out the show. Where's my notifications here? Hang on. Not School Librarian Day. We already did that. Here we go. This is the exciting part of the show that is not that exciting. All right. Thanks to people who tweeted out the show again. Mike Savage, K-Show, Somnambule Nation, Man Squatch, Amazing Disgrace, Reaction Puerto Rico, Play Trucker Zach, and JB for retweeting the tweets of the show. Also, it's the memes, it's the GIFs. So let's scroll through these. Thank you. Oh wait, my favorite cartoon cat. Nice. I don't even know what that one is. Oh, I see. Someone down here. Oh. By the way, come wish Marty a happy birthday. Yeah, it is my birthday. Thank you, Keishal. I just saw you pop in too. Eagle, it's your birthday too. That's another person whose birthday it is. I knew that. I watched the replay of Ranting Monkey and before I shut it off, they said it was your birthday too. So all kinds of birthday days. Eagle, Shrapnel, Mike Savage, and myself all having an April 4th birthday. Thank you, Amazing to Grace, with the cute little kittens. The kittens in the cake. That's cute. And then we got a peanut. Oh, is this a fake Peanuts one? The next song is called Erotic City. Hold on to your draws. It's about to get funky. That is funny as hell. And then thank you, Reaction Puerto Rico. All proceeds go to the Wounded Warrior Project. JB, thank you here for yours too. Happy birthday, dude. Don't let people ruin your fun. No one's going to ruin my fun today. And a good old Garfield. Oh, that's the favorite cartoon cat. So, again, thank you, Reaction on Puerto Rico, for a super chat, dropping a 5 spot in, saying, for the vets that are with us and those on Eternal Patrol. Yeah, hell yeah. Thank you, Reaction on Puerto Rico. Hello, Vader. What's up? Thank you for the birthday wishes. All right, let's get into more trending things. Lithuania's trending. Now, speaking of Wounded Warriors, there were four servicemen that were killed in a training incident in Lithuania, and the people of Lithuania are being very respectful of the people here. 4 American soldiers just died in Europe in a vehicular accident. The honor and respect afforded them by the people of Lithuania is inspiring. Thank you to our friend and NATO ally. And here's the embassy of Lithuania. Lithuania honored and bid farewell to the fallen U.S. soldiers. For Lithuanian people, it feels like a loss of our own. In this difficult moment, our thoughts and prayers are with the fallen and their loved ones. We mourn together with the nation. Now, some people were very angry at President Trump yesterday. And this is, well, I don't know if it's true anger or just a way to shit on the president. Someone says, this Tristan Snell, he's one of these left Democrat shill accounts, said this evening, Trump was supposed to meet the families of 4 fallen U.S. soldiers as their coffins returned from Lithuania, where they're killed in an accident. He canceled. Instead, he dined with Saudi golf execs and sponsors for a golf tournament at one of his resorts. Now, I'm confused by this. And then in this other post, he says, breaking, Trump abandons fallen soldiers, goes golfing instead. He didn't go golfing. He was at a prior scheduled event, whatever. Trump was supposed to meet the coffins of 4 fallen U.S. soldiers who died in an accident in Lithuania, meeting them at Dover Air Force Base as presidents traditionally do. Now, that's the part where I go, hold on. Presidents don't always meet fallen soldiers at Air Force bases. Generally, ones killed in combat or killed in extraordinary circumstances, they do, but not always. And I was kind of confused by that. Instead, he's going to Florida so he can golf, which he did. He's not golfing. Presidents do not traditionally meet every. No, they don't. And in fact, I think one of the earlier comments are on here. It's somewhere down here. It's not a tradition for the POTUS to meet the coffins of soldiers killed in training accidents at Dover Air Force Base. Presidential attendance has historically been for combat death, not training accidents, which are typically managed by the military without a formal protocol for the president's presence. While golfing during this time may seem insensitive, which he wasn't golfing, expecting the president at Dover in this case doesn't align with historical precedent. So that's someone who may know this. And other people are pointing that out too. Can he do that? Absolutely. But not generally for training exercises. And here's Brian Krasenstein. And all the shills are out for this one though. Breaking, Trump has refused to attend the dignified transfer of 4 American soldiers who died in Lithuania. Refused? He attended an LIV golf event this evening in Florida instead. Again here, Trump, this is JoJo from Cheers. Trump loves our country, our troops so much, he opted out of attending a dignified transfer of the 4 U.S. soldiers who died in Lithuania so he can hobnob at his Gilded Roach motel with the financial backers of 9/11 instead. Oh, wow. That's interesting. America first, though, right? You fucking idiots. So, but anyway, there are people that, and it's wild because when they said this was happening, well, here, Lithuania honored the bid with farewell to 4 U.S. soldiers who tragically lost their lives at Parab. We will never forget them. The people of Lithuania prayed relentlessly for their fate, and we feel profound solidarity with regard to American soldiers as our own. So, Yeah, I'm again, but a lot of people are saying, "Oh, Trump didn't, meet them at the airport." I'm going to assume that Trump will be in contact with their families, or has been. Who knows? But that's why Lithuania is trending, and then same thing. Saudis are trending because, again, people are criticizing for not attending the dignified transfer. Again, this is a training accident. These are not people killed in combat. These are not people killed during the pullout in Afghanistan that Biden botched. So, again, I don't know if this is Democrats standing on the graves of dead soldiers, but it kind of seems like it. Russell Brand is trending. Breaking news: Russell Brand has been charged for sexual assault. Rhymes with grape. I'm curious. Let's see. Where is it? Breaking: comedian and actor Russell Brand has been charged with grape. Here's an article from Sky News. And sexual assault. The Metropolitan Police say that the 50-year-old comedian, actor, and author has also been charged with 1 count of oral grape and 1 count of indecent assault. The charges relate to 4 women. He is due to appear in Westminster Magistrates Court on Friday, the 2nd of May. Police have said Brand is accused of violating those women in the Westminster area of London in 2001. He is also accused of orally, same word, and sexually assaulting a woman in Westminster in 2004. So they're bringing up 20-year-old charges. I'm curious. The 4th charge alleges that a woman was sexually assaulted in Westminster between 2004 and 2005. Police began investigating Brown from Oxfordshire in September 2023 after receiving a number of allegations. The comedian has previously denied the accusations and said all the sexual relationships were absolutely always consensual. Met Police Detective Superintendent Andy Furphy, who is leading the investigation, said the women who have made reports continue to receive support from specially trained officers. The Met's investigation remains open, and detectives ask anyone who has been affected by this case or anyone who has information to come forward to speak with police. It's really, I'm curious how they expect to prove a 20-year-old charge. And look, I'm not saying it happened or didn't. It just seems that a lot of charges like this seem to pop up after people change their political stripes to a certain unaligned view. Could these have happened? I mean, he's kind of a scummy dude, but I just don't know. Back in the day, who knows? But it's just odd that you could be charged for something that supposedly happened 20 to 25 years ago, and have any kind of proof that it happened. Who knows? Good morning, Tyre. Alexander, the Scourge. Good morning, sir. Hank Tough is trending. The term Hank, H-A-N-K, tough. Now, who wants to guess why the term Hank, H-A-N-K, tough, T-O-U-G-H is trending? Just fancy a guess of why that's trending right now on X, the app formerly known as Twitter. I just got you could probably guess it because it's trending, and good morning, Renee Miette. It's trending, and some guy named Hank did something. No, not quite, but you're in the very you're in the ballpark in a way, because yes, Hank Tough. Hank, I'll put in the chat, tough. And why it's trending. Dun boom boom. Because there's a typo on a Truth Social post by Donald Trump. Donald Trump. Of course, anytime Donald Trump does a typo or, something spelled incorrectly, what happens? It trends on X and on everywhere in social media because all the lefties get oh, he's so stupid. He wrote Hank Tough. He says, great job. Great job numbers, far better than expected. It's already working. Hank Tough. We can't lose. Because the job numbers came in better than expected a couple days ago, to which this Aaron Rupar, who's he's the anti-Trump journalist, says, who wants to tell him today's job numbers were from last month before his self-destructive tariffs were implemented? So whatever. So anyway, lots of people are posting cartoons of Hank from whatever that show's called. Funny show though. I can't think of it right now, but yeah, it's a funny show. So anyway, people are laughing about the fact that it's Hank Tough. Now, what's interesting about this, I didn't realize this until somebody posted a video of it happening in real time. Yeah, King of the Hill. That's a great show. Hello, Willie, by the way. And Scribe's in the house. Dog Thrapple. I didn't realize this, but Donald Trump doesn't post his own post all the time. So there was a video of him. They were doing a real time. They were watching something that Kamala Harris was doing in real time, and they have him tweeting, but he's actually speaking it out to an assistant who is typing this for him. So I don't know if this is just a typo. But it's also interesting because everyone who does this, they post these things and make fun of Hank Tough. Do they realize that they're amplifying the message of what it was supposed to be? And so, it is true that the numbers that he put up there were from last month. But look. If companies know that tariffs are coming and they make adjustments before the tariffs come, that can be the part of it's working. So the guy who said, well, who wants to tell him that these were numbers from last month? Well, yeah, that could be. Are people hiring to gear up for doing more work in the U.S. because of the tariffs in other countries? So who knows? But it's still one of those things. So that's why Hank Tough is trending. Now, speaking of Trump tweets or Trump social media posts, Free Le Pen is also trending because of Donald Trump, who posted this on Truth Social, and Elon Musk has amplified it on X, where he says, the witch hunt against Marine Le Pen is another example of European leftists using lawfare to silence free speech and to censor their political opponent, this time going so far as to put an opponent in prison. It is the same playbook that was used against me by a group of lunatics and losers like Norm Eisen, Andrew Weissman, and Lisa Monaco. They spent the last 9 years thinking of nothing else, and they failed because the people of the United States realized that they were only corrupt lawyers and politicians. I don't know Marie Le Pen, but I do appreciate how hard she worked for so many years. She suffered losses, but kept on going. And now, just before what would be a big victory, they get her on a minor charge that she probably knew nothing about. Sounds like a bookkeeping error to me. It is all so bad for France and the great French people, no matter what side they are on. Free Marine Le Pen. Now that's fascinating because, and she got charged some, I don't know if it was a bookkeeper, whatever, but the charges that they brought against her, they could have easily brought against five people in Macron's camp too, but they chose not to. So does it look like it's a little bit of lawfare? Because she was leading, she was one of the top candidates in the upcoming election. So it'll be interesting to see now. And plus they put that on appeal, but the way they did it, they've already put her in jail and they've disqualified her from running in the next elections. And And so the appeal process probably take longer than it would to get to the election. So the charge was she had paid EU staffers during local French party work too. Okay, yes, whatever that was. But she's not the only one who's done that, but she was the only one who got charged, which is funny. It's a nothing charge. Literally every single MEP does that shit and provably does that shit. Yeah. So anyway, that's fascinating. Also, Powell is trending. I was assuming Jerome Powell, but there's several Powells here. So we're going to go through a couple of them, and some of them are just memes. For example, car salesman after selling a young couple a 2020 Nissan Altima 60% over the book value and telling them it's because of tariffs. This is a spoof account, by the way, if you didn't know that. Just kind of soaking that in. That's funny to me. Now, someone here, Darth Powell, Vlad the Inflator, for all the boomers worried about their retirements, I would suggest you get a second job and cut out the avocado toast. Oh, so cute. I'm not worried about my retirement. It is what it is. Of course, I'm the last boomer, so maybe some of them are. Most of the people who are boomers are already retired, dipshit. And most of them still had pensions because that was before pensions became not a thing. And also, some do. Some are still 401ks. But also, they're already getting Social Security, and that's not going to back up. It's going to fuck up the ones like me who haven't gotten Social Security yet. So I'm not sure what you're talking about there, but it's funny. And this one, pay me the tariffs, motherfuckers, to the Penguins. That's funny. Used car dealerships right now. Yeah, they're looking good because of the tariffs, I guess. But here's another one. Another Powell. There's a lot of Powells going on here. Apparently, Matt Taibbi is suing Congresswoman Kamlager Dove for libel. Members of Congress are shielded from liability for defamation statements made during legislative activities. But Kamlager Dove, whoever that is, apparently didn't realize this doesn't extend to her social media communication unless they were within the scope of her official duties as a member of Congress. So here's what's going on here. Let's see. This is part of the lawsuit. 2025, republished by defendant on social media sites X and Blue Sky and her official congressional websites on the same date. Defendant, a United States representative for California's 37th district, falsely accused the plaintiff, an award-winning journalist, best-selling author, and public figure domiciled in New Jersey, of being, quote, a serial sexual harasser during a televised hearing at which plaintiff had been invited to testify. Defendant then reposted a video of her statements on X at 12:04 p.m., April 1st, 2025. Certainly wasn't an April Fool's joke. I'm going to see if I can find, let me see if I can find Matt Taibbi lawsuit. Hang on a second here. Excuse me. Matt Taibbi's lawsuit. Here we go. Let's see. Some Mormons get themselves a $10 million lawsuit for 600 likes at an epic ratio by Greenwald. From Taibbi. There's not much a person like me can say to a member of Congress hiding behind the protection of the speech and debate clause of the Constitution. One can, however, respond to a member arrogant enough to repeat those claims on social media. I've now done so in the form of a $10 million libel suit filed today in a New Jersey federal court. And this is, here's what she posted, I guess. After this, Republican gave Matt Taibbi time to defend himself. It's telling that he didn't. Ranking member Kamlager Dove calls GOP witness Matt Taibbi a serial sexual harasser and enters articles in the Congressional Record about his history as a sex pest. So here's what she posted on X, which likely is false. Well, this is the first I've ever heard the accusations, but here it is.
Majority is relitigating a made-up conspiracy theory.
Oh, the made-up conspiracy theory of censorship by the Biden administration and agencies against American citizens on social media. Yeah, that was conspiracy theory. It happened, bitch. Anyway.
About a part of the State Department that no longer exists to distract from the dumpster fire foreign policy this administration is pursuing and elevating a serial sexual harasser as their star witness in the process. Mr. Chair.
Wow, she said that as though she has some insider knowledge.
I request unanimous consent to enter into the record 2 articles about the Republican witness Matt Taibbi. The first is a Chicago Reader article entitled 20 Years Ago in Moscow, Matt Taibbi was a misogynist a-hole and possibly worse, and a Washington Post article titled The 2 Expat Bros Who Terrorized Women Correspondents in Moscow.
Without objection.
This hearing could not be more out of touch with the concerns of everyday Americans. People's retirement savings are being
Okay, that's the point. Now, someone says you're a pathetic smear artist, exploiting Me Too as though you give a shit about it. Can't wait until you cheer Andrew Cuomo's candidacy by the way Dems cheer Biden's and Bill Clinton's. You spread a discredited, retracted story, and now you're getting justifiably sued. So apparently, the Congresswoman is getting raked over the coals for this. Here it is. There's not much a person can say to a member of Congress hiding behind the speech and debate clause of the Constitution. I can, however, respond to a member arrogant enough to repeat defamatory claims on social media. See below for the $10 million libel lawsuit filed today. So there you go. He announced a $10 million lawsuit against this person. All right, so put that in the links too, right after Powell. All right, next. How much time do I got? Okay, we're gonna leave a lot of time for Q&A today. Thank you, John Arnott, dropping a big bullet in the tip jar via Super Chat. We're up to a total of, what are we at? 25, 50 plus. Here it is. 25. We're up to $30. The goal is 200 people for the Wounded Warriors Project, but the net proceeds from all Super Chats will go to the Wounded Warriors Project, who says, good morning, P-Dog and Chad. Thank you, John Arnott. Welcome. All right. Let's see. And then China is trending.
China is asshole.
Why is China trending? Well, this is all related to the tariffs issue, and that's where we're going to kind of, I got a series of articles that I'll just highlight each one, and then we're going to get into Q&A. But China is trending because of the tariff thing and what other people have said about tariffs in the past regarding China. And so a lot of these stories are regarding that. Here is, for example, Barack Obama bragging about tariffs he put on China to help U.S. workers. Let's listen to this one.
We had a tire case in which they were flooding us with cheap domestic tires or cheap Chinese tires. And we put a stop to it. And as a consequence, saved jobs throughout America. I have to say that Governor Romney criticized me for being too tough in that tire case. Said this wouldn't be good for American workers and that it would be protectionist. But I tell you, those workers don't feel that way. They feel as if they had finally an administration who was going to take this issue seriously. We had a tire case.
So Barack Obama excited about tariffs that he put on China. Well, let's see. Here's another one. Barack Obama demanding fair trade with the United States and China.
When it comes to the international system of commerce and trade, it's legitimate for poorer countries to continue to seek access to wealthier markets. And by the way, wealthier markets, that's not the big problem that you're having. A small African country is sending you tea and flowers. That's not your biggest economic challenge. It's also proper for advanced economies like the United States to insist on reciprocity from nations like China that are no longer solely poor countries, to make sure that they're providing access to their markets and that they stop taking intellectual property and hacking our servers.
Okay. How about Nancy Pelosi? Nancy Pelosi.
How much more repression, how big a trade deficit and loss of jobs for the American worker, and how much more dangerous proliferation has to exist before members of this House of Representatives will say, I will not endorse the status quo. As I mentioned, it's about jobs, proliferation, and human rights. And there are those who say we shouldn't link human rights and trade and proliferation and trade. I disagree. But if we just want to take up this issue on the basis of economics alone, indeed, China should not receive most favored nation status for several reasons that I'd like to go into now. I'd like to call the attention of our colleagues to this chart on the status quo that the business community is asking each and every one of us to endorse today. Right now, we have a $34 billion trade deficit with China, the 1995 figure. It will be over $40 billion for 1996. Since the Tiananmen Square massacre, this figure has increased 1,000%, from $3.5 billion then to about $34 billion now. In terms of tariffs, I think it's interesting to note that the average U.S. MFN tariff on Chinese goods coming into the United States is 2%, whereas the average Chinese MFN tariff on U.S. goods going into China is 35%.
Because she goes on, but anyway, she's basically advocating to Americans to raise tariff, not have free trade with China, not have preferred trading status with China.
Is that
okay? So it's not. It's like, and look, like I said, I'm really mixed in this whole tariff thing. Tariff seems like a Democrat protectionist thing. I remember Trump used to be a Democrat, but so anyway, thank you by the Avocados Diablo, small bullet in the tip jar. Said all she did was post a video of the hearing, so it will be still covered by the speech and debate clause. He will lose since it is not a separate instance of her saying it. I don't think that's the only instance of her saying it, though. But we'll find out when we see the rest of the lawsuit. I want to look through the lawsuit before I commented on it. I just found it fascinating that they did that. Also, thank you, Evan S. Happy birthday week to C for every year. For every year, mine is Saturday. Oh, your birthday's tomorrow? Well, happy birthday to you too, Evan. Nicely done. Nicely done. You got born that day. So this relates to, oh, wait a minute. Where's the Nancy Pelosi article? Here it is. Just the article, Nancy Pelosi in 1996 assails U.S. free trade with China. Is this reciprocal? In 1996 on the House floor, Nancy Pelosi assailed then bipartisan plan to give most favored nation trading status to China, arguing that while the U.S. has low tariffs on China-made goods, China has high tariffs on American goods.
China is asshole.
While debating opening U.S. free trade with China by giving the communist country most favored nation status, Pelosi made it clear she opposed the plan, noting the growing trade deficit and how it was leading to economic devastation for Americans. Hello, Bishop. Nice to see you too. Oh, you actually sent me a meme, right? We'll get to that meme because I said send me memes, and Bishop was the only one who did it. And so there you go. So anyway, that's a whole article on that. And who else just came in? Selected Boys here. Good morning.
Yeah, boy.
Now, I have a whole series of articles on the whole tariff thing. Some are pro, some are con. For example, this economist Thomas Sowell, who everyone reveres, is alarmed that Trump's tariffs may spark a worldwide trade war. Economist Thomas Sowell suggests that President Trump's may be taking a ruinous approach to tariffs and international trade. Sowell commented on Trump's trade policies during interviews on April 1st, a day before Trump enacted sweeping tariffs on dozens of other countries. The Liberation Day announcement was, as the White House billed it, put in place a system of reciprocity on international trade where foreign countries are tariffed in accordance with their trade barriers they impose in the United States. Now, by the way, I showed you that chart yesterday, and so this is one of those things the White House does that drives me nuts, because they could have just put actual tariffs in that list. Remember, side by side, they said, this is how we're going to tariff. And then they had this other side that showed what I thought were tariffs, what those countries were charging in tariffs to us. Not exactly. okay, those were calculations of the trade barriers each country imposes either through tariffs or value-added taxes or trade deficits or whatever things. Now, unfortunately, we happen to have the largest economy in the world, which is, I suppose, not unfortunate. It's great, right? But we're going to have trade deficits with a lot of countries because we buy more shit than anybody else. So I don't like the fact that they tried to calculate that in, other than where tariffs are involved that may artificially exacerbate that particular occurrence. So I got to go back and look at those charts and go, okay, what does this mean? Because some of those countries, I guess Singapore was on there, and there's some sort of value-added tax or something in Singapore that makes American goods cost more. But that's not a tariff if they're imposing the same tax on their own goods. So now I got to go back and look at that list and go, oh, I got to figure this out. But anyway, back to Thomas Sowell. Prior to Liberation Day, Trump has vacillated on tariffs and tariff threats to allies and adversaries. Sowell was critical of Trump's handling of foreign trade, comparing the president's tactics to those of the 1920s that contributed to the 1929 Great Depression and the tepid U.S. recovery in the 1930s. It's painful to see a ruinous decision from back in the 1920s being repeated, the 94-year-old Sowell said on an episode of Uncommon Knowledge with Peter Robinson. Now, insofar as he's using these tariffs to get various strategic things settled, and that he is satisfied with that. But if you set off a worldwide trade war, that has a devastating history. Everybody loses because everybody follows suit, and all that happens is that you get a great reduction in international trade. The elderly economist then brought up former President Franklin D. Roosevelt, who held the United States' highest office from 1933 to 1945. Sowell said that Roosevelt would experiment and discard ideas until you come across something that does work. The approach Trump has taken to international trade and tariffs is fundamentally different, according to Sowell. Roosevelt's approach works if you are operating within a known system of rules, but if you are the one making the rules, then all other people have no idea what you're going to do next. And that is a formula for having people hang on to their money until they figure out what you're going to do. And when a lot of people hang on to their money, you get results such as you got during the Great Depression in the 1930s. So there's more. That's Thomas Sowell's take on it. Then we go to another take. Now this is by apparently an editorial from Breitbart TV, saying how, and this is, who is this? On the Alex Marlett show, Breitbart News economics editor John Carney discussed tariffs. Carney stated, "We've built a sustainable economy. We did this thing starting with Alexander Hamilton, where we said it's really going to matter that we make things in the United States. Yeah, we're going to import stuff. We were never not going to buy stuff from abroad, but we are going to make sure that the internal American economy was healthy, could produce a lot, provide jobs, not just for people with graduate degrees, not just for somebody who's going to work on Wall Street, but for people with less education. So that means you need an industrial base. We built that economy. It became very behind a very high tariff wall. It built America into an economic powerhouse." Okay, so that's another take on what tariffs can or cannot do. But I have several articles, so I'll just give you the headlines because I don't have time. But here's one: how Trump's reciprocal tariffs can create 15 million jobs. Well, if companies bring their business and manufacturing back to the United States because they don't want to pay tariffs and stuff, that is probably the main argument behind this article. Also from Insights. If Trump's tariffs work, it will be epic. And some people would say, well, what if they don't work? That's a good question. But anyway, this one is apparently something that Caroline Leavitt said. April 2nd, 2025 will go down as one of the most important days in modern American history. We have no doubt that that's Caroline Leavitt. We have no doubt Leavitt's prediction will come true. Whether it's remembered for being a success or as Smoot-Hawley's 2.0 remains to be seen. It's going to work, Levitt said, and the president has a brilliant team of advisors who have been studying these issues for decades. Now, that's been an odd boast, given that economists who have been studying tariffs and trade policy for decades had long ago decided that tariffs are a sledgehammer approach that rarely work as intended, that they are a wildly expensive way to create jobs, don't spur economic growth, protect uncompetitive U.S. firms, and are an ineffective diplomatic tool. So this is a little more critical, but gives you most of the pros and cons of it. Daily Wire, Liberation Day, what's the plan? That's a good question. This is the chart that I was talking about. So China doesn't have an average 67% tariff, but that's kind of a number that combines their tariffs, their trade deficit, their other different things that they place that cause barriers. So the United States now is putting a 34% tariff on Chinese goods. That's a chart that's dubious. I got to go back and look at that. But on Wednesday, President Trump declared it was Liberation Day. He saw this as our economic declaration of independence now. The markets were rocked after the announcement, and there's a reason why, which I'll explain. The president seems to believe that international trade is a zero-sum game. His giant tariff policy is predicated on a few false notions about the American economy. One is that the American economy has been a giant failure for the last 40 years. That's simply not true. This is a myth that is propagated by both parties. I know it's a fun myth. It's something people like to believe, that yesterday was economically better than today. But then you look at the stuff around you, the phone in your pocket, the computer, the fact that you can literally order any product anytime from anywhere on earth, and it arrives at your doorstep in 2 days at a price that you can afford, and that you think to yourself, would I rather live in 1980 when the only person with a cell phone was Gordon Gekko on a beach holding a shoebox to his head, and when central air conditioning was kind of a rarity? When cars, if you were lucky, had electric windows, what was that better? Were things better simply on an economic level? So we've had this growth economy for a long time. Is everything just awful? Is everything really that bad? I don't know. What the hell? Okay, hang on a second. I'm going to make sure you get an archived version of this, because apparently this does not want you to. Okay, there we go. So now you can get the full article on there. But like I said, a series of articles on tariffs. This one from American. Then there's a lot of different opinions in these. This one's Trump's tariffs will not cause inflation. Okay, that gives you an argument for that in the Daily Wire. Now, the Daily Wire has kind of both sides of this. One's kind of criticizing the tariffs and one's not. White House urges Americans to trust President Trump as uncertainty looms over tariffs. So again, this is cautionary. Oh, good Lord. Is this another one? No, that one's a full article. And then another one Capitol Hill Democrat sees promise in Trump's Liberation Day tariffs. So not all the Democrats are as skeptical about the tariffs as, at least not all of them, not all, although most of them take every opportunity they can to bash President Trump. But Representative Jared Golden, Democrat from Maine, who hails from a hotly contested district and has a track record of cooperating with Republicans, endorsed the 10% baseline in the new tariff plan. Lower end rate matches one of Golden put forward in a bill earlier this year, the congressman noted. President Trump has introduced a number of new tariff policies, and I and my team are already digging into the details. I'll have more to say on the specifics in the next few days, Golden said in a statement. What I can say now is I'm pleased with the president building his tariff agenda on the foundation of a universal 10% tariff like the one I proposed in the Built USA Act. He added, this ring fence around the American economy is a good start to erasing our unsustainable trade deficits. So not every Democrat is against the whole tariff thing. All right, I need to move on to the most important part of today's show, but let me just give you some headlines. Attack on the global trade order, cries German chancellor, warning Trump's tariffs are fundamentally wrong. Germans are not happy. Here's an economist saying Trump isn't starting a trade war. He's fighting to win the decades-long trade war. Okay. Like I said, several different opinions. And then Jim Cramer, who's very upset with Trump. Jim Cramer just completely, this is a Krasenstein. Jim Cramer just completely eviscerated Trump and his stupid tariffs on CNN. Here's Cramer.
On a car, you go 10 on a car. But I went deep on the numbers today, and the numbers did not make any sense. And I was actually.
You made it. I was doing like bananas in Vietnam. You did Cramerica.
Well, I just said, it's one of these things where if I'm doing 100 billion and you're letting me do 10 billion and I'm letting you do 100 billion, there was a way to be able to make it work. But the numbers that they did, and they had this ridiculous. I mean, that was the chart that they had with the mathematical equation. I mean, are you kidding me? How about just like...
It looked like an Einstein.
I know. How about the fact that it was just wrong? Yeah. And what bothered me, Aaron, was that they really did, over and over again, the president said, listen, it's going to be reciprocal. So you do it, we do it. And that was going to be so good. And I really believed in it. And I feel like a sucker tonight. Because I am not a free trader, and I do not believe in free trade. And I was just as tough, if not tougher, than his people. But they screwed it up, and they did it a totally ill-advised way. And I was very let down as someone who really, truly believes that free trade is awful for the American working person. This is what they came up with. Jeez, come on, have some gumption, have some math.
I mean, how in the world do they...
Okay, you get the point. Kramer's not happy, but he likes the idea of tariffs. So anyway, there's several other articles involved in the links today that I'm not going to get to because I got to get to the most important part of today's show. It's Friday, people. And that means, ladies and gentlemen, it is time for Friday Q and and I'm not being Fonzie here. By the way, there's also a link to, I think I do have the separate link to the Wounded Warriors Project if you want to donate directly. Again, I actually recommend that, but I appreciate people doing it through here too. All my net proceeds from today are going to the Wounded Warrior Project. The goal is 200, and we're at like, let's see, about. And now, I unfortunately, the ticker on here doesn't actually do it. We're at about 30-something, $40-something. So we're 15% into it. So if you want to donate to the show or just donate directly to the Wounded Warriors Project, I'd appreciate that. That'll be my birthday present. But ladies and gentlemen, we got to do Friday Q&As because that's what we do on Fridays. And the first question today is from Advocatus Diabli. In fact, he's got several questions loaded up. Advocatus Diabli asks, if every living thing on Earth farted at the same time, would it gather in the sky to form a never-ending farticane with ass-scented 100-mile-per-hour winds and fecal precipitation? Yes. Yes, it would. And it would be really gross. Advocatus Diabli asks, if a baby is removed from the womb via C-section, should it even be considered to have a birthday since it never went through the process of being birthed? Well, Advocatus Diabli, here's the thing. Yeah, farticane. That's funny. A fartnado, too. It could be a fartnado. Yeah, that too. I'd just light a match and the whole world would explode. Look, if every animal on Earth farted at the same time, we would have an instant heat surge via global warming and everyone would die anyway. So thank goodness not every animal on the planet farts at the same time. Anyway, back to this question. If a baby is removed from the womb via C-section, yes, it is birthed. It's just birthed in a different fashion. Okay. So it does birth. Both my children were born via C-section. All it means is you're no longer in the womb. So yes, you are being birthed and it is your birthday. Advocatus Diabli asks, if at the beginning of The Wizard of Oz, in the Munchkin Village, there is that swirl where the yellow brick road starts with a red brick road. Where did the red brick road go? Wow. So the yellow brick road went to Oz, right? Went to the castle at Oz where the wizard resides. The red brick road went to a Denny's in Hoboken, New Jersey. Thank you. Thank you very much. Avocados Diabli asks, if Bob Hope, Donald Trump, and Kim Jong-un played a round of golf, who would win? Oh, obviously it would be Kim Jong-un. He'd be at, let's see, 54. 58 under par. Something like that. Avocados Diabli, is it live or is it Memorex? Well, it depends on when you're watching this. If you're watching at this very moment, it's live. But if perchance you watch this on in about an hour, it will be Memorex. Thank you very much. Avocados Diabli asks, if there is a track meet and someone throws a javelin and it lands in the ass of someone who is sunbathing in the park next door, is that sodomy? Technically, why not? But legally, it's just an accident. Oh, excuse me. It's just a ass connect. That didn't even work. Avocados Diabli asks, have you ever woken up dressed like Gene Autry in a broom closet next to a smiling Barry Manilow and a chimpanzee named Puppy Dog? No, I haven't. JB asks, do you know the Muffin Man? You mean the one on Drury Lane? We haven't met, but someday I'll go and visit. JB asks, what are your thoughts on them making a new Naked Gun movie? Who's going to star it? It's not if it's not Leslie Nielsen, it doesn't count. I suppose you could get like one of the what's the the funny one that played Deadpool. If you got, maybe he could pull off he might be able to pull off a Naked Gun movie, whatever his name is. With Liam Neeson. You know what? Actually, Liam Neeson could pull it off too. Liam Neeson does really good, funny characters. Like what was it? He showed up in some Saturday Night Live skit as one of the kidnap movie things, and it was really funny actually. Thank you, Kay. Happy birthday. Thank you. Dropping a deuce in the tip jar. You are a great American. Appreciate you. Let's see. JB asks, if someone were on trial for necrophilia, would I had a seance and she consented be a valid defense? Oh my gosh. I would say no, but that would be a definitely, I told you all a long time ago that in New Orleans, there is a museum called the Museum of Death. Now, most of the exhibits in there are exhibits about serial killers. And it's a museum all about serial killers. Fascinating museum. But that would be one of those that you might be able to put in there as a side story. That's so weird. JB asks, where's the beef? Well, at Wendy's, of course. Avocados Diabli asks, speaking of using a frozen banana as a murder weapon. Wait, what? When did we talk about that? Speaking of using a frozen banana as a murder weapon, do you think you could genetically modify a raccoon so it could fly? What? What? Holy shit. Yeah. Well, you mean it depends if you mean like fly like a bird or fly like a flying squirrel, because flying squirrels don't necessarily fly. They just kind of jump off of high points and float and kind of, apparently, I don't know if they use the wind, but yeah, no, I don't think you could, because, well, unless you crossed it with a flying squirrel, that would be weird. Anyway, JB asks, what's that behind you? Okay, look, I don't suffer from paranoia, so there's nothing behind me. Avocados Diabli asks, when you were born, Can't Buy Me Love was the #1 song. Is that why you have a penchant for the ice shack hookers? No. You got that wrong, okay? That's the reason why I don't have a penchant for ice shack hookers, because I have it had ingrained in my head from the day I was born that you can't buy me love. Money can't buy me love, and therefore I don't even bother trying. JB asks, do you listen to Thin Lizzy? Not necessarily on purpose, but I know that is Thin Lizzy like the original Smoking in the Boys Room? Who does the Smoking in the Boys Room? Is that Thin Lizzy? Or what is? Yeah, no, that's Brownville Station. What is? There's some song. What is a song by Thin Lizzy? Let's see here. Oh, their drummer died. Oh, that's a while ago. I could Whiskey in the Jar. No. Music. Bad Reputation. Oh, they did the original Bad Reputation? Whiskey in a Jar. Yeah, no. Thin Lizzy didn't do The Boys Are Back in Town, are they? Jailbreak. Johnny. Okay. Thank you for the Thin Lizzy trivia. The Boys Are Back in Town. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. If it not like look, I don't seek out Thin Lizzy, but if it shows up on the radio every once in a while, right? So I guess yes, but not on purpose. JB asks, why do I need to learn calculus? Well, I don't know. Are you into physics? Do you try to, plot out flight paths for astronauts? And I don't know. I don't need physics in my life. Lord Stanhope asks, was your birthday closer to when Atlantis sank beneath the waves or the rise of the son of Arius? That would be the former, closer to when Atlantis sank beneath the waves. Lord Stanhope asks, when you saw your first television, how amazed were you to see pictures on the radio? Okay, look, let me just tell you. Let me tell you something. My first television I saw that I can remember, I was like 3 or 4 years old, and I was watching Popeye on the TV, and I really thought it was cool. Popeye. I don't know why I told you that story, but that was at I was in a foster home in somewhere near Dubuque, Iowa, and they had this big console TV, black and white TV, because there were no color TV yet. But anyway, let's see. Where's that? No, thank you. Oh, here we go. Avocados Diablo asks, since it's your birthday, I will lend you some self-repeating Frankenants. What will you do with them? Oh, I will use them to smite my enemies, because that's what self-repeating Frankenants are really good for. Lord Stanhope asks, what was your favorite turn of the century? Well, I've only been involved with one, so I guess that's, I did party like it was 1999, even though the turn of the century was actually between 2000 and 2001, but, that's one of those semantic things that people don't necessarily understand. Lord Stanhope asks, will you celebrate the anniversary of your hatching with some real Thai vampire women? They may be 10,000 years old, but don't look a day over 24. Hey, if I wasn't married and some real Thai vampire women that were 10,000 years old, but don't look a day over 24 were around, I'd be like, oh, check them out. But, I'm married and shit. Lord Stanhope asks, are you looking forward to going to the champagne room tonight? What? No. Wasn't that the discussion on something about, what was that there? It was some, what do you call it? Birthday lap dance fund. No, I don't do that. Is that what you mean by champagne? I'm not even sure what you mean by the champagne room. I'm assuming it's something like that. Avocados Diablo asks, how much would you pay for a magical pig that lived forever and could regenerate the pieces you cut off of it? Oh, damn. That'd be something. Man, you You could like smoke a pork shoulder and then you could do some ribs and the spare ribs would come back. Oh my gosh. If it could regenerate. Well, wait a minute. Hold on a second. If it could regenerate all those parts. Okay, here's a question for y'all, and you can answer in the regular chat. So let's take Avocados Diaboli's question. How much would you pay for a magical pig that lived forever and could regenerate and regenerate pieces you cut off of it? Here's my question. Say you cut pieces off of that pig and the pig regenerated those parts. What about the part that you cut off? Would that also regenerate so that if you cooked it and ate it, you'd be really super bloated? Or it depends on how long it takes to regenerate. Let's say you ate it and you pooped it out and it went in the toilet and you went down into the sewer system, whatever, the sanitation system, and then it regenerated somewhere else. That would be a problem because then you'd have regenerated pigs everywhere. So let's not do that. Let's not do that. I'm not doing it. I would not pay for one. Lord Santa asks, if Trump bans the import of foreign liquor or beer, what would you miss the most? Jägermeister. Absolutely Jägermeister. Lord Santa asks, when you were a child during the Napoleonic era, how far did 2 cents go? Oh, trick question. There was no such thing as 2 cents. Avocados Diabli asks, did you see the judge that called a woman who was caught vandalizing a Tesla the victim of the case? He meant a victim of the people ginning up fear of Elon, but still it was kind of asinine. Yeah, I saw that. Where is, I had that story. Let me see if I can find that. That's the dumbest shit I've ever heard. Oh, good Lord. Well, I don't know what happened to it, but yeah, that was stupid. The judge was saying that the vandalizer was the one who was the victim. I thought I had this up here, but apparently I don't. Oh, here it is. Here it is. I found it. Police chief in Minnesota refers to Tesla vandal as victim of rhetoric. The chief of police of Bloomington, Minnesota, that's right, like 2 suburbs over from me. The chief of police of Bloomington, Minnesota referred to an individual who was caught keying a Tesla last month as a victim and said the vandal will not face charges. That's bullshit. The vandalism took place at Cub Foods parking lot and caused $3,200 in damages to a car. As the incident was caught on tape, police were able to locate the culprit, allegedly a woman in her late 20s whose identity has not been publicized. Bloomington Police Chief Booker T. Hodges, that's a great name for a police chief, said Tuesday that the vandal turned herself in and the victim, in this case, just wanted their car fixed and they just wanted the suspect to pay for that. While the Tesla owner may not have wanted to pursue criminal charges, it's up to prosecutors in Minnesota to decide whether to file charges based on evidence gathered by law enforcement. However, that was not the case here. Based on the totality of the circumstances here and along with our core value of being compassionate, this is the best outcome for everybody involved, Hodges said. The chief then appeared to excuse the vandal's behavior by referring to her as a potential victim of rhetoric. Let me be clear here. In Bloomington, you've probably never heard me utter these words, but the suspect in this case may have been a victim. And I mean a victim in terms of the rhetoric that is being spewed out here by some of those in leadership. Without naming names, Hodges continued, we need our leaders to start leading and stop feeding this rhetoric. People should be able to drive whatever car they want without fear of going into a store and someone scratching their car or people yelling at them because of their car that they chose to drive. It's time for all of us, just to start getting along and knock this stuff off, man. People should be able to be left alone. Wasn't clear who Hodges had in mind, but Minnesota governor and former vice presidential candidate Tim Walz has repeatedly demonized Tesla CEO Elon Musk in front of Democratic audiences, at one point saying he got a boost when Tesla stock falls. So is he blaming the governor for that? It's kind of funny, but that's bullshit. They should press charges. All right, let's see. Avocats Diablo asks, if during the late 60s the members of the Monkees and the Animals got into a knife fight, who would have won? Oh, the Animals. Easy. The Monkees were a bunch of pussies. Lord Stanhope, what in your opinion is more offensive, using dead soldiers as a political tool or using dead kids as one? Oh. Still dead kids. I hate it when politicians use kids for anything. Like, just, look, there was, we saw a video of some kid who got called in to testify in front of some state about the Department of Education. And I remember when I was a kid, I was one of those kids. The Nebraska State Legislature was trying to put a spending bill, they called it the lid bill, because school spending was getting crazy. And so they were going to have a 2-year lid where they weren't going to increase education spending for 2 years. And for whatever reason, I think it's because I was the student speaker at a dedication of my new elementary school. They invited me to go speak in front of the state legislature against the lid bill. And so they were filling, every kid's heads of all this stuff that you would lose. So I'm only 12 years old. I'm in the 6th grade. And I'm in front of the state legislature talking about how, well, if you have this lid bill, there will no longer be band, and there'll no longer be music, and there'll no longer be, theater, and they're going to take all this stuff away that we just love to do. And I'm a stupid kid thinking, yeah, the parents are telling me of all the stuff you're going to lose, so they won't freeze funding for 2 years. None of it came true. The bill passed. None of it came true, and the schools were just fine. But it was, I hate when they use kids, and maybe because I was one of those kids that got used. Lord Stanhope, no, but seriously, how much time are you spending in the champagne room? Somebody explain the champagne room to me in the regular chat. Lord Stanhope, what's for your birthday dinner? We're going to, maybe you weren't here for that. My wife asked me, what are we doing for birthday dinner? And I said, I want to go to Meesville, Minnesota, to the King's Place Bar and Grill for a burger, because they have the best burgers anywhere I've had in Minnesota. They're phenomenal. Every time I've gone there, it's been I'm like, this might as well be a steak. I'm so happy. So anyway, yes, we're doing burgers for that birthday dinner. And then tomorrow we're having the family over and we're having a pizza party. Just because I'm pretty simple when it comes to that stuff. The champagne room is where you get to do all the stuff you aren't supposed to do with the strippers. Yeah, never done that. Thanks. No, never did the super special lap dance thing. I've been to strip clubs. Yes, of course, because, especially in college, there are a couple really good strip clubs in Des Moines back in the day. Anyway, never been to the champagne room. Lord Stanhope, I've noticed a cold beer and a steak solve most problems. What beer and which cut of steak would it be for you? Castle Danger out of Two Harbors, Minnesota, a fantastic golden lager with a little bit, not a heavier taste beer. It's really good. And there's nothing better than a really well-cooked ribeye. I really love ribeye cut of steak. Even though it's a little bit fatty in some places, but a good ribeye and a Castle Danger, that would be it. Lord Stanhope says, since you've met her, was Helena Troy actually attractive? No, she was a diesel dyke bitch. JB asks, what does BEDMAS stand for? That's the back room where the priest diddle the boys. Lord Stanhope, will you? That was terrible. That was terrible. Oh my God. I can't believe I said that.
Your life makes me sad.
Lord Stanhope, will you have a happy birthday? Abso-fucking-lutely. Because I'm going to see the grandbabies. Like the boy asks, first happy Earthstrong P-Dog. And have you ever had something crazy happen on your birthday? Boy, you know what? Nothing comes to mind. I've always been not the greatest celebrator of birthdays for myself. For some reason, I just never get excited about my birthday. And so I haven't done anything super wild. Although, I mean, this isn't crazy, but one year, my wife and a bunch of her friends took us out to a place called Chino Latino. And there were 30 people who showed up that I didn't know were coming. And so it was great. And they have this Chino Latino does a pig roast. You know, they'll do a whole pig for you in that. And that was great. The coolest birthday, though, was my 40th birthday when my wife surprised me at our church. Totally got me. Did a surprise at my church where my mother and my mom were both in town. My mother, who I was born, my birth mother and my mother were both in town. And we were going to do this, we knew they were coming. I knew they were coming in town. But then they tricked me to going into some shopping bazaar that was supposed to happen at the church. And we get into this room and there's like 100 of my people I know, friends, family, acquaintances, whatever. And that's when she gave me, my tickets to go to Nigeria to meet my father for the first time. She had surprised me. She had arranged it with my work. She had arranged the time off work for me without me knowing. She somehow I got my passport because we were supposed to be going on a trip, and we went to go to get our passports, and then she went back and got it expedited because he needed that. And that was the biggest thing ever. And also, and she'd also arranged for GQ magazine, a reporter and a photographer from GQ magazine, to go with me, and they documented my story. And that's where the story in the GQ magazine that I've shared on here came from. That was my 40th birthday. So crazy. That was crazy as hell. It was the biggest surprise I think I've ever had. And my wife is really fucking awesome. Let's see here. Where are we at? Lord Stanham asks, how many times can someone be wrong before we can safely disregard their opinion? Oh, you mean like Kramer? It does, it depends. If they're never right, then you can do it after a couple times. But sometimes, if they're like 50-50, you just got to go, well, I'm gonna hold off on learning about that one. Lord Stanham asks, how much would they have to pay you to eat Indian street food? Oh, they wouldn't have to. I know it's weird and it's gross, but if you're in Rome, you do what the Romans do. So if you're in India, you just get through it. Obviously, it's not killing anybody. Lord Stanham, will you accept that I wish you a happy birthday, a delightful birthday with your bride and your babies and grandbabies on one of 3 days out of the year you can drink yourself silly? Yeah, the only part that's missing is the only part that's extraneous is that I almost never drink myself silly. That's never been my thing. Evan S. asks, what's it like being 100? Lord Abikastiali says, so are you saying you just stiff the Ice Shack hookers twice even? Now, when you say stiff, okay, that didn't even work. Let me try that again. Now, when you say stiff the Ice Shack hookers, what exactly do you mean? Lord Stanham says Marty loves Blue Oyster Cult. That was one of the first concerts I ever went to. I went to the Commodores. This was in 1977. I was in 7th grade. I went to the Commodores, and then I went to Blue Oyster Cult 1 week after the other. The first concert I ever went to was the Commodores. The second concert I ever went to was Blue Oyster Cult with my sister and my brother-in-law. Let's see. Wait a minute. Avocados Diabli asks, if Thin Lizzy got into a knife fight with Bachman Turner Overdrive, Would Randy Bachman bring a gun? Yes. Yes, he would. Avocados Diablo, if the Farticane started raining molten gold from all those golden flaked hamburgers rich people eat, would you brave the storm to collect it? That's a tough one. That's a tough one. It depends on how quick the global warming was setting in. Select Boy asks, do we live in a post-joke world, or are some people just way too oversensitive? Oh, some people. There are a lot of people that are way too oversensitive, and jokes are jokes, and fuck people who can't take a joke. Avocado Diablo, I have some salmon that got a little beat up in the fridge. Should I use it for salmon cakes or use it for some ramen? Oh, you mean like salmon cakes, like crab cakes? Oh, dude, salmon cakes. That'd be awesome. That would be awesome. Avocado Diablo, is this the 35th from the last question? Well, not quite. You're in the ballpark, though. Avocado Diablo asks, if X plus B minus D equal F, what does the G stand for? I'm sure all the ladies would like you to know that answer. Avocado Diablo, do you still do all the candles on the cake thing, or is it too much of a fire hazard at this point? Not to mention, it is hard to bake a cake large enough. Well, no, it's easy to bake a cake large enough for 60 candles. The problem is, it's really hard to light 60 candles on a cake. And this would be 61, so that would even be harder. So there you go. It's the logistic of lighting it. You'd need like 5 people with those long lighters, and all would have a section where they could do 11 or 12. Avocados Diablo asks, if you're going to beat someone to death with a cut of meat, what would you use? Oh, clearly a tomahawk steak, but after I ate it, just with the bone. That's, there you go. Avocados Diablo, but if someone is always wrong, wouldn't that be the same thing as being always right, since you could just do the opposite? Yes. Yes. And the last question today, almost on Friday Q&A, comes from Lord Stanhope. And that question is Lionel Richie versus Herbie Hancock. Ooh, that's a tough one. I'm going to go with Herbie Hancock, though. Lionel Richie, fine artist, but Herbie Hancock is a funky motherfucker. And then the actual last question from Avocados Diablo, is this the 5th to last question? No, it's the last question, motherfucker. That's it. And that's it for Friday Q&A. Thank you, everybody, for joining me today on the Morning Night Live. Appreciate the birthday wishes. Looks like we got about $30-something going to the Wounded Warrior Project to add to the 61 I already sent this morning, and whatever you guys are sending separately. I do ask you, if you can, if you're able to donate to the Wounded Warrior Project today, that would be awesome. And that's it. So here we go. I'm going to take get the links here set up. Maybe what's taking us long? Oh, there we go. Good luck. What the hell's going on? Come on, today. Good Lord. There we go. And thanks everybody for all the birthday wishes. I really appreciate it. And I hope that you all have a wonderful weekend. I know I will, because I'm going to see the babies. Here are today's links. And there we go. That's it. I got to go. My name is Dawg Knight. And happy birthday to me. Happy birthday to me. Happy birthday to me. And Shrapnel. And Eagle. And Mike Savage. Happy birthday to me. And you and you and you. That's it. Bye-bye. I'm out of here. Hey, this is Dawg Knight. And thank you for watching today on the Dawg Knight Channel. If you have an observation or remark you'd like to make about this video or my channel, I absolutely welcome you to write it in the comment section down below. I really look forward to hearing from you. And before you go, if you like what you saw but you're not already subscribed, please make sure you hit the subscribe button and definitely click that bell that pops up afterwards so you'll be notified when I post new videos or when we go live. I broadcast my live show, The Morning Night Live, Monday through Friday at 10 o'clock Eastern, 9 o'clock Central. A special thank you to all the supporters of this channel who share our videos on social media and who make donations through Streamlabs, YouTube, Venmo, and Cash App, which are all linked in the description down below. Thanks again, and until next time, I'm Dawg Knight, and I'm out of here.